Today joined with an old friend. Well, not old. I don't want to call you an unk, but a guy from the OG days that I gratefully was able to spend a ton of time with while I was out in LA. A legend in the industry, a world renowned DJ at this point. Everywhere I look, you're in a different country, you're on a different stage, you're killing it. Koopa, I'm so glad to have you here and get into what you've been up to since the last time we've talked.
Course. Well, it's great to be here. I did just turn 30, so I think that the Ankh tag is appropriate there. I'll accept it. I'll accept it. It's been good, man. I've been on the road, traveling with Daniel Allen, going out to shows, playing festivals, trying to figure out where these fans are at. Been DJing, as you mentioned, and then for those who don't know, I'm the founder of a crypto record label called Coop Records. And so the idea of the platform is how do you prove that you are early to different songs? We have a site that lets you trade songs as coins, and so you can buy into them, prove you are early, so if they increase in popularity, and just trying to figure out what does it look like to build more real-time markets for music.
You've started your career in Web3, but like your ultimate like everything you've done has been really music focused.
Hmm.
And really creator, like if you're a creative person and outputting something, you've really gravitated to that um
Hmm.
throughout music. Yes, I think it's had its ups and downs in Web3, but now it does feel like they're starting to become like, oh, we actually understand what the flywheel looks like a little bit, like a lot better actually.
Right. Yeah, I'd say that the music pocket is still extremely, extremely niche. I think what's promising to me is that the traction we're seeing with Zora and Creator Coins and some of the early stuff we're seeing with like Pump and live streaming and Creator Coins over there. There's kind of like a broader acceptance that this Creator Coin thing is going to happen. And I think now we're seeing that these products are actually good enough that real people can start to use it. And so I know we're going to dive in a lot in this conversation, but I've really been leaning into my Creator Coin on Zora. I think it's been really fascinating. I've been buying and supporting a ton of creators over there and just really bullish about where all that's kind of headed right now.
What okay, so let's just start here, like, explain Zora for the
Mhm.
person who doesn't know, what is Zora and how does it work?
The pitch that's been resonating with people is it's a crypto Instagram. You can basically go on there and you can sell your post. When people buy it, it goes up in price. When they sell it, it goes down in price, and you earn a percentage of every trade. And all of those posts are backed by your creator coin. And so your profile basically has a value associated with it. And so if someone believes they're going to be more popular, they can buy into your profile. And if more people buy it, it goes up in price. And if people sell it, it goes down in price. And so I think the compelling part is like when someone opens the mobile app, it looks and feels exactly like Instagram. And I think kind of the magic moment for them is when you double tap, instead of liking a post, you're buying a very small amount of it.
Oh,
And
so you're
so the
actually there's
thesis,
actual financial component there.
correct. And so the thesis is like if you think something's going to go viral, I don't know about you, but like every night I'm scrolling TikTok and I'm finding super funny videos and I'm just liking things that I think they're hilarious. And then I'll check back on my likes or my bookmarks or something. And like one of those videos ended up getting, 100 million views or something like that. And you're like, damn, like I was actually pretty early to that, either by just the algorithm serving it to me or by like my taste. And I think right now there's this big disconnect in crypto where there's a trend that happens on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, whatever it might be, and someone launches a coin for it on like Dex Screener, Pump Fund, whatever it might be. And you as like a crypto person have to know to like search for that trend, find like a ticker symbol, make sure it's the right one, make sure it's not getting like CTO'd, whatever it might be. And I think with Zora, it's a lot more direct. It's just like I'm scrolling this feed, I'm double tapping, I'm liking a post. If enough people like it, it can kind of pop off. And then all of the volume from that post is kind of going into this creator coin that's sitting behind it. And so me as someone that's just casually on the app, I can be like, oh, I really like this person's profile. They're posting a lot. Let me put in 50, $100. And, hopefully in the future, if this thing catches on, there's going to be a lot more usage and traction of it in the future.
It's still based in the thing that all crypto is based around, which is attention. Like, will this gather and garner more attention over time?
Exactly.
But now we're seeing the financial side. Do you think we've moved away from like the collect like this is far less collectible as it is like more investment slash like like proving you're early as like and betting something's or speculating something's going to go higher.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that the big difference in vibe here is that with early SocialFi, it was all centered around alpha, right? Like if you think about Friend Tech and some of these other projects that are doing SocialFi, the idea was like, I'm going to join this private chat because I want to get exclusive access to content or trades or plays or whatever it might be. And that all exists in the corners of Twitter and it always will. And I have a lot of love for that. I just don't think that that suits most creators. Like, I don't think that most people have alpha to share. I don't think they want to feel an expectation to share alpha. And so now instead, the thesis or Zora is just like, oh, this person makes good content. Like they're already posting videos on Instagram, TikTok. They have a following over there. They understand how to get distribution. And now they're just posting that same content on chain, and now there's just a price with it. And I think the formula that I've been seeing work well for some of the more popular creators on Zora is that someone will post a video on either Twitter or Instagram or TikTok, and in the replies, they'll just link to the Zora coin. And so my kind of heuristic here is like, how do you kind of bring people into this crypto world in a way that feels like a little bit more natural? And I think that's just by interacting with the posts they already have and not really expecting there to be exclusive benefits by like buying into someone's profile just because you spent $20, you don't deserve to like get a FaceTime with that person. Like it kind of helps level set a little bit more.
Sure. Yeah, I think there's a disconnect there also. Like expectations of holders has been a really troublesome area for a lot of these social fight things that are like, oh, if you hold X percentage, you get like we saw this with AIXBT.
Hmm.
You had at one point it was like $300,000 to get the value. So like, what was the point of holding besides speculation if you didn't have at that threshold?
Right.
Like there has to be alignment and real understood expectations, especially as things go up higher and higher.
Yeah.
And it prices some people out.
Yeah, and I think just to kind of double down on that, we're at a point right now where nothing's too like inaccessible on Zora. I think the biggest creator is like 10 mil cap right now. I think like the biggest post is at like 5 mil cap or something like that. But to your point, it's like you can buy in at any size. And I think that's one of the big things that this coin's feature kind of unlocked over collectibles is that with floor price, there was a certain point in which certain people were boxed out of being able to participate. And with coins, you can just double tap to buy in with 10 cents at any price point. And I think that for me, the thought here is that I don't expect most people to go into this experience being like, oh, I'm ready to invest my hard-earned money in this post or in this creator. Like, let me go and throw $1,000 into like all these huge basket of creators. Like, it's a very specific type of trader. I think most people will just open the app, they'll just post something. They'll say that they made a dollar or two, which is more than they've ever made off Instagram. They'll, double tap, buy a couple things that they think are cool. Maybe something will pop off, maybe it won't. But I think for me, the big unlock is like people can just download the app and use it, and you don't need to know anything about crypto, and it makes sense to them. And if you post anything, you have a chance at making some money pretty quickly. And I think that's an experience that most people have not had with posting anything on the internet so far.
Yeah, there's been another disconnect, which is all this stuff goes out there, and the platform ends up being the one that makes money off of ads and the engagement and the attention that the users are
Mm,
creating on that platform, which it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make
mm,
sense when you like kind of step back and you're like, well, yeah, the users the way they monetize is they go get brand deals.
right.
That why your platform? Why use your platform? Besides, there just happens to be attention there at this point.
And I don't want to set the expectation that like every Joe Schmo is going to be making like hundreds or thousands of dollars off, posting pictures of their dog. But I have found that people enjoy the idea of posting pictures of their dog and seeing that it has like any price associated with it. Like that
Yep.
idea to them is like definitely interesting. And a small feature that Zora baked in that is somewhat controversial, but I think actually very bullish in the long term is that when you join the app, you launch your coin by default. And so there's no longer this need for you to have to like have this conscious decision of like, what does it mean to launch a coin? How do I like, do a big announcement, do an airdrop? Like, how do I make sure I do a pre-buy, et cetera, et cetera? Like you kind of just opt in. And I think for a lot of people that were in crypto and really hesitant to do this at first, when they joined the app and they launched their coin, it kind of got them over this hurdle. And now for new people that are coming in, the idea that you just have a coin by default, it should make it feel like less pressure because you no longer have to have this whole conscious debate around like, if I should, what are the pros and cons? It just exists by default. And for someone like me that's really active in like the Zora trenches, it creates this really fun game where you're actively going out to onboard people and or you're just watching new creators that are joining because if you're like really tapped in, you can be very early to some of these like amazing profiles who have hundreds of thousands, millions of followers on Instagram, TikTok, whatever it might be, and you're buying their coin at like sub 10K market cap and getting like 1% of the supply for like $100. And
Yep.
that to me is like really exciting because I do believe there is a longevity with Zora that I think didn't really exist with other social fi platforms that came before it. Like Zora's been around for 5, 6, 7 years. They're not going anywhere. And this app is really fucking good. And I think that a lot of creators are going to have their first experience with Zora. And so I feel confident parking, zero point 0.1 ETH into a creator with like a really big profile because the bet is that you're early on Zora the same way that you were early to like Instagram, Twitter, whatever it might be. and those creators who are here today are going to get the most benefits as the kind of ecosystem as a whole starts to really catch on.
Man, you got me fired up. Like I had hesitated to like do it because I was like, I want to talk to you first. I want to like do some more exploration. Um, but like that, like everybody launches a token and it desensitizes people to a mechanic that was, if you think back years ago, you like even just to launch a token, people would be posting on X. They'd be like, "Hey, looking for a dev to launch a token." Launch
Yeah.
pads didn't exist. Like I think people forget how hard it really was and like how archaic the blockchain was to like launch and tokenize something. Now you have Jesse at Coinbase screaming, coin it, coin it, coin it, coin it.
Mm.
And I mean, do you just think the future of everything is there's a tokenized version, or everything is becoming tokenized, or there is so much tokenized stuff that it's not as like much of a spectacle
Mhm.
to have a tokenized asset related to you or a company or whatever?
I think it's just logical. I think that like expectations are getting a lot lower of what that means to like have a token. And I think there's still a lot of like baggage from 2021 NFT crew that's just like, like I don't want to coin things, like it sounds terrible, like it takes all the inherent value out of it or whatnot. But I think it's just like a new form factor that feels a little bit more natural to me and to the people that are interacting with it. And I think to just give a quick anecdote, like I launched my creator coin on Zora on accident. Like it was like 5 a.m. and I was in this cafe and we just played the show with Daniel and we're all getting, breakfast at 5 in the morning or whatever. We hadn't slept the night before. And I'm like showing my friend, I'm like, yo, this is Zora, this is how it works, crypto Instagram. I haven't launched mine yet because I want to be really intentional about how I do it. I have this big brand in crypto, yada, yada, yada. And then I just realized that I just pressed the wrong button and I just launched it. And then I'm like, all right, we're here. I like had a mild freak out for a second. And then I just kind of went for it. And I was like, all right, well, what's the expectation here? The expectation for me as a creator is that I just post actively on this app. I'm already posting stuff on TikTok. I'm already posting stuff on Instagram. Let me just take that exact same content and just start posting that here on Zora. Let me share that on Farcaster, share that on Twitter. I'll do all the crypto shit. I'll like update deck screener. I'll do some cool like tipping things with noise and whatnot. But I'm just going to lean in here. And I think as someone who's like very aware of what it means to be a successful creator in the real world, and someone that has a brand in crypto, being able to kind of fuse those two things together and figure out how to like give people my token through doing like actions that I already do. It's been pretty fun. And I've honestly been very surprised that I think I have like 1,600, 1,700 holders. There hasn't been like an army of people in my DMs being like, post the CA or like share a roadmap or like what utility or something like that. Like I think it's just I'm hopeful that people are understanding that the expectation is that you post good content. And if you post good content, that will increase the value of your token because all of the volume from your content is directly going into supporting your creator coin as well.
Yeah, I love that flywheel. I hate saying the word flywheel because I've read it too much
Mm.
between all the Pasternak stuff that's happening. Which that's a whole thing to get into, but I love it. Like I actually can see this like organically last, like the longevity to it because it isn't based on like performance outside of just can you post, and
Right.
everybody knows that.
And I think this whole like on-chain social thing is finally starting to catch up to a point where all the building blocks are like syncing with one another. And so to give a clear example of that on both Farcaster and the base app, I use this app called Noise to basically give people my token every time that I like a post, I retweet them, I follow them, I quotecast them. And so you basically just program that every time I like your post on Farcaster or base, you get 10 cents of my token. And so it's kind of this like really cool distribution mechanism where I don't have to go in and like paste in an address and send this giant list or do this giant airdrop. Like it's all just programmatic under the hood. I just top up my wallet and every person that I interact with on Farcaster, they just automatically get a very small amount of my token because I liked your content. And now you're like exposed to my profile just because I liked your tweet or your cast in the first place.
Wait, that's such an interesting distribution model. And this is
Mm.
like, but that's a separate company. And I guess this is also like the power of decentralization. Like I tweeted the other day, I was like the future of finance, but like the future of everything is just decentralization where all of a sudden independent services just play together
Yeah.
seamlessly.
100%. And one thing that was really exciting to me and why I got so bullish on Zora is that this new base app that came out recently, all of the posts on the base app are on Zora under the hood. And so you can basically choose a toggle when you post something on the base app to either people can buy this or people can't buy this. And so now all of these basically tweets have a price with them too. and that volume is also tying back into your Zora profile as well. And so Base App hasn't fully integrated like creator coins yet, but I know it's on their very immediate future. And so for me, this idea I get excited about is like I tweet way more than I post videos or photos on the internet. And so how do I sort of create a foundation where it's not only my videos or my photos, it's also all of the tweets that I have on a daily basis. And in aggregate, having like this more bulk basket of all the content I'm putting on the internet backing into like this one official coin and vehicle that's routed through just these simple mobile apps. Like you don't need, to your point, you don't need to be a dev or a wizard to like configure these things. You just sign up, you have this app on your phone, you're just posting like you normally do, and it's just all connecting.
And yeah, I mean, like that just gets me more and more bullish for there being like a social, not like again, not social vibe, but just a social environment in crypto
Hmm.
again on the blockchain. Because
Yeah.
right now it happens in Web 2 on X for the most
Yeah.
part.
And I mean,
Or
just to
and
like,
not to throw shade on like Farcast, I'm just saying like where I think like
right, right.
majority is right now.
Agreed, agreed. And I think just to go into some of the nuance that is exciting to me about Zora too, since I know we're pretty far down this rabbit hole. As a creator on Zora, you get 50% of your supply unlocked over 5 years. And so it's not like people are just getting 10% and then just like nuking the chart instantly. Like you get this slow drip that like slowly kind of unlocks over time that you can use to either buy other creator coins on the platform, send them to friends, et cetera, et cetera. But you kind of have this motivation to stick around and make sure your profile remains valuable because you're not getting a lump sum payout up front. Like you really have to earn that gradually over time. And when you post something on Zora, you get 1% of the supply of every post that you automatically post. And just to really articulate the way that things connect here, all of the posts are routed through your creator coin. And so if there's volume that goes into buying, a DJ clip of mine or something like that, that's all going into buy volume for the creator coin as well. And then all of the creator coins are routed through the Zora token. And so there's this really nice pairing between the posts that are happening, the creator coins, and the platform token. And I think to your point about early SocialFi platforms, there was never really a connectedness between the content and the creator or the creator and the platform. They always just kind of existed in these like one-off silos.
Silo, yeah.
And so I think having this like very connected ecosystem, like it's very logical to me to say, hey, if more creators join this platform, the Zora token is going to do well. If creators start posting more content on this platform, there'll be more volume just by default. And I think you're seeing that now with just the sheer number of like things that are being posted and coins that are being made. And I don't think this is a great metric, but it's like Zora has more coins being made now on a daily basis than Pump Fund because it's a lot easier to just post a picture or just post something, a video that you have, than it is to like, oh, what's this meme I want to launch? What's this like crazy CTO thing or like this cool idea for like a crypto thing? It just feels a lot more easy and natural. And I think that like real people are much more likely to just post something they already post than they are to want to start, a Telegram chat and a Twitter for like a community meme thing with a roadmap and all this like crazy crypto shit.
It sounds a lot more refreshing than the trenches
Mm,
of, being in the trenches of like meme coins that are like, I mean, they're PvP to an extent.
right.
And then you're dealing with, other tokens that are like, hey, there's a roadmap and expectations. This just feels um casual.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the right word to describe this. Like it's casual and it makes sense to like when things are organic, authentic, and they just casually happen, those usually have the longevity. And that is where I think a lot of users get burnt in crypto and then they step
Mm,
away and they leave and we see companies go out. With a lot of that missing here, it makes me excited. Like you're like the pitch on Zora from you is like 10 out of 10. Like you have me
mm.
excited and regretting not signing up at this point, which is cool.
For
Um
sure. Well, don't get me wrong, it's still PvP. I don't wanna, like, say that this is,
oh,
like, this
okay. Oh,
kumbaya
damn. Okay.
system where, like, everyone's we're all winning together, everyone's holding and sharing their creator coin, but the way that you trench on Zora feels different because you're betting on creators who post good content. And right now going in and being like, "Okay, I'm looking at this profile, are they actively posting?" I'm going and looking at their Instagram, I'm looking at their connected TikTok account, Twitter, whatever it might be. It's so much different than like any of these other social fi plays because even though right now all the top creators on Zora are still primarily crypto native creators, there are a handful of people who are just like prominent artists in the X community on Twitter, on TikTok, on Instagram, etc. And me going in and trying to like find these creators that have like a connected Instagram with like 100,000 followers and 10 followers on Zora, like it's really cool to think about that difference and basically betting on someone because they know how to post on the internet over betting on someone because they know how to find the next hot meme coin or something like that. Like it just feels so much different in terms of the psychology of what you're betting on in the first place.
But I think also people for, as long as they've had Instagram, TikTok, whatever, like YouTube, that because that's like their normal consumption and they've almost like they've been training for a decade, maybe 2 decades. Well, yeah, like 2 decades now of like just watching and consuming and being like, "Oh, that's gonna be good. That's oh, like this is trash. Like next one." I mean, how many
Mhm.
times have you come across, I mean, like, this on the music side because I've seen you do it. How many times have you come across and been like, "This is actually this guy, like, if he keeps doing this, he's gonna be the biggest name ever."
Right.
Like, I
100%.
like, at least, like, 3 or 4 times, I've found people under 10,000, like, followers and been like, "Oh, they'll be a million," and now they're 1,000,000 to 10,000,000 followers each, and I'm like, "Okay, well, there's something there that I can recognize a pattern."
Right. And I mean, not to jump topics too much here, but that like really is the focus of Coop Records and the intention here. And so everything that I just talked about with Zora and being able to back creators and buy into posts, etc., that's the exact same mental model that we have for artists and songs. And so I think it's really just a matter of building an app that is formatted to that specific media type over more of like an Instagram branded app. So if you think about what like a crypto native SoundCloud looks like or a crypto version of Spotify looks like, we still have a long way to go, but I'm really proud of the artists that we've been able to bring into our ecosystem. I think the difference is that artists have fans that they are really connected to emotionally and really dependent on for their livelihood. And there's a much different conversation that happens around fandom and making sure that fans feel supported and seen over someone who's just like casually following someone on Instagram. So there's definitely some nuance there, but yeah, I appreciate you pulling this up here. This is
Yeah.
the new Kuprex homepage that we launched recently, and long story short, it's we have a bunch of viral songs in our catalog.
I mean,
We've been
these are like
launching different.
real, like actual viral songs. Like, and again, you have a connection with Daniel here, but like, I mean, this is like one of the hottest songs out. And it
Yeah,
was all over the charts. It was on the radio and everything. Like, this isn't a bunch of guys in their basement putting out songs, and they have a real market cap and demand as well. Like several thousand holders for some of these.
right. And I will say that there's a lot of information and fidelity that I want to add to these pages. So even just looking at this Notion song here, this song has 400 million plays on Spotify, and it was the biggest song of the electronic community in the last 6 months, 6 to 12 months, and we have the official coin for it. And I think the question that people ask me is just like, okay, well, why would I buy this coin? What's the relationship that it has with like Spotify in the real world? And I think that's kind of the crux of what I'm trying to figure out on a day-to-day basis is how is there a direct correlation between, the song that has 400 million streams and the market cap of this song on Coop Records. But for the time being, I think for me, it starts from just like get good content and good music on chain in some way, shape, or form, make it accessible, allow people to buy it, and then slowly just start chipping away at adding as much context in here as possible, as many ways for people to earn this coin as possible. We've been thinking a lot about trying to bring some more master royalties back on chain to give these things more inherent cash flows. And, there's a lot of places we can go with it. But I think that to me, the vision for where this can go has become immediately obvious with some of the more recent success of things like Zora. And so it's really just like a grind of getting it to be the best app that it can be day in and day out.
Yeah, that connection between this having 400 million streams and sitting at $130,000 market cap, there's a very clear disconnect there. I mean, I assume
I
this
agree.
song made more than $130,000. I also feel like it's kinda hard to, like, because I remember in LA when I was, with Sydney and a record plant, I'm meeting everybody in, like, the music scene, and I'm talking these labels, I'm like, "Oh my god, this is possibly the hardest industry in the world that I've ever seen to work in between, like, the splits and the deals and, like, the way cash gets paid out." It's not simple. I yeah, I feel like this is a hard task, but if you solve it, I mean, like, oh my god, what artist wouldn't want to be able to, like, have a coin related to a song that is earning them genuine money? And now they have more fans engaged. Now they're almost, like, incentivized to share the song a little bit. It gets interesting.
Well, I will say that right now, pretty much every artist we talk to is really intimidated by the idea of launching a coin because of their prior headlines they've seen with them. Like when they think about coins, they think about the Trump launch, they think about the Hawk Tua launch, they think about rugging, they think about fans losing money. And so I don't think that people have seen as much of the other side of the equation, which is like this is actually a genuine, real opportunity for fans to buy in early tier music and to kind of win with you. This is kind of a dynamic that we've never really seen with fans being able to participate in these real time markets. And so I think for me, there's a lot of like trust and handholding that's still necessary to even get these things live in the first place. And so I definitely feel confident in getting there. And one thing that's been really promising is we now have so many different label partners and just artist partners and whatnot that like the influx of music is really really strong, and there's a very strong current of music that's constantly coming to us. The hardest part to crack is just like getting people to care about it, whether it's crypto native people who don't believe in on-chain music, music NFTs, whatever you want to call it, or it's just real people who just genuinely think that crypto is a scam. Our challenge is to basically unpack that stigma around crypto and a lot of that fear around crypto. And a big reason why I'm so inspired by Zora is that I think that they're doing this on the front lines. Like the fact that you download a mobile app, you double tap a post when you like it, you buy 10 cents of that. You're not going in being like, I'm investing my 401k or I'm investing this giant portfolio. It should feel easy and simple and fun. And I think that that's a format that everyone can learn from.
The abstraction of the blockchain has been, I think, the real breakthrough for people to realize, okay, if I don't shove token, a wallet, a seed phrase, all this down people's throats, there's a 1000x% chance that they are going to stick around, or at least even make it through sign up, because that was even a
Right.
big issue back in the day. Um, I'm curious, as you watch Zora become kind of like one of the larger onboarding experiences in crypto right now, and what you're doing, because you're facing a non like maybe I'm curious about the breakdown, but like not every single user that you're going on and getting onto Coop Records is through crypto or trading or in the
Mhm.
trenches. They're music lovers.
Yeah.
What onboarding mechanics, or like what is working right now for new people coming into crypto?
It's a great question. That's a great question. I think they want to try something that's just like novel and interesting to them. I actually don't find people are as much of a as moon boys as maybe they used to be in the past. I
Mm,
think in the past people were just like, tell me what to buy. I want to make money and I want to make money fast. And I think now people are a little bit more open to just like trying new apps that feel fun and cool and exciting to them. There needs to be a belief that like this can be positive to them, whether it's through like gaining a new following or being able to make capital at some point in the future. But I think it's a lot more natural and organic. And so for me, just being able to like pull up to a festival or a show and just show them a page that has songs with the price associated with it and be like, which of these songs do you think is the most valuable? I'm like, oh, like, yeah, that song should be worth more because I know that it has this many plays, or I know that this artist is touring or whatever. Like it starts to generate a very interesting conversation that I think hasn't really existed in the past before. And so, very simply put, it's just like a great app that's really simple and easy to use, pulling it up and being able to show it to them IRL, and then be able to send them an onboarding link that's just like email sign up, some credits. You don't need to deposit ETH on base. You're not being like told what crypto is or anything like that. Like that seems to be the thing that's working, is just like a lack of the hurdle to get started is very very low, and I think that's a very very positive thing that's only emerged very recently. But to add
mm,
like one more point there, like it's definitely a balance, and I think the biggest thing that I struggle with, and I think that a lot of people that are building consumer apps struggle with, is so much of the volume is predicated by crypto native users that have an entirely different set of expectations from UI, UX, what information is important to them, what context is important to them, what relationships are important to them, like how trading fees work, etc., versus a real person who has none of those expectations. And what they want to see is something that's extremely simple and boiled down and not complex, versus a crypto person who wants to see deck screener and they want to see base scan and a Uniswap link and top holders and all this stuff. And so you kind of have to thread this needle where the product serves both audiences, and it kind of leaves you in this weird limbo where you're having to constantly pick and choose between which crowd you're satisfying at any given time.
it's an interesting point, because with what we're building and like what I've been working on in the background, we've had this discussion around like a lot of these new consumer facing apps are not going to come out and have a like live chart that's updating every single time the block closes, and they're not going to have a live feed of transactions coming through. Like that's overwhelming to somebody who doesn't understand the like actual like trade side of this. um I feel like it's hard to basically make both camps happy. I think you can kind of meet in the middle and give some to, but I think you really should be like consumer facing and wait for like some of these aggregator apps that are out there that are more I think Tone too, the person who's like, "Hey, like,
Mm.
I'll buy it on this consumer app, but if I wanna go trade it, that's great. I just wanna be able to link it over and cool, now I have a terminal experience and, like, if I wanna get more advanced and aggressive here, I can, but there's the casual and then I go somewhere else but you guys are still making the money. The fees are still coming through. There's still volume,
Right.
etcetera. I don't know. Again, that's my take. You can maybe
No, I
push
agree with
back
that.
on it.
I agree with
Okay.
that. I think what I've been noticing is that whenever an app starts to see success within the crypto community, people build these extensions on top of it. And so we saw this like early on with Believe and Believe Screener, and then with Zora, we now have like Zora Terminal.
Yeah.
And even yesterday, like there's this new app called Indexy, which is like basically a newer version of Index Co-op for whoever was back around in DeFi summer
Oh my
days.
god,
But
man, a name I have not heard out of anybody's mouth in quite some
yeah,
time.
yeah, but, like,
Oh my
yesterday on
god.
Indexy, like, I set up an index of my favorite creators on Zora, and you just, like, paste in the contract address of, 20 creators, and it tracks their performance and whatnot, and so you kinda have these extensions now where, obviously, I'm not gonna set up an index fund on the Zora mobile app, but due to the fact that all these contracts are on chain and they're all tradable on Uniswap and whatnot, there's a lot more just, like, composability that's happening right now, and I think what I'm noticing is that people just take initiative to launch things when there's actual genuine opportunity and interest. Like, there was this guy Ultra who launched like a Zora launch screener. It's like a Telegram bot wherever someone beyond a certain number of followers activates their creator coin, you get like a notification for it. And
Oh,
so
wow.
I guess my point is just like the crypto crowd knows what the crypto crowd wants. And if you build something that enough people are excited to use, people will build the tools on top of it to satisfy that audience. What I think Zora has done really well and why I'm most bullish on them is that really easy for anyone in the crypto crowd to use. You just activate your coin, you post a couple times on that, that gets this kind of crew satisfied. But the big opportunity is all the people who are not currently here in crypto yet and being able to get them into the system without them having to go through all these super complex trading instruments and vehicles to just like get in the system in the first place.
It's gonna be interesting. Like, when we get, like, a David Dobrik or, like, one of these big creators on there who's, like, putting out stuff, and it's like, "Oh my god," like, they are actually, like, crushing it here, and they bring other people. I think that's gonna be an insane moment. Even for music, I was thinking about even before you hopped on, like, just about who's touched Web3 from the music community. We still haven't seen
Mm,
like a Drake or a Travis Scott, like lean in and be like, you know what, like non-extractively, like really like thought out well, like here's my like here we're doing this. It and not even like say it's on Web3, but there happens to be a Web3 component to it where
right.
fans are like getting ownership or something or buying into
Well,
it.
frankly, I just don't think it's worth their time right now. I think if you're an artist beyond a certain threshold, the amount of income that you're generating from being in the crypto world relative to the amount of backlash that you could possibly receive, that trade-off's not really worth it. I think in 2021, the amount that you could make from being around and doing an NFT drop was so drastic that it was worth whatever kind of backlash came with it. And yeah, that's up to you to choose an artist. Like, do I want to lean into this? Do I just want to like mint some NFTs and dip out, et cetera? And then the crypto crowd has their own kind of separate opinions here. But I think a really big disconnect that I saw in the last couple of years is that artists who really leaned into the crypto community realized that these people typically weren't real fans of their music. They were speculators who wanted to buy their shit to sell it for a higher price in the future. And so once the artist had made, some amount of money and they'd done it a couple times, they now have this collector base that was really, in their replies being like, what's good? When's the next drop? Why is the floor down on this? Like, what utility do I get? And then the artist is like, all right, well, name five of my songs. And they're like, oh, like, I like that one that da 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 or whatever. And like, but then you go to some kid that's in San Francisco or Denver, Michigan or whatever, and you're like, name five of my songs. And they're like, I can name 30 of your songs. And all I've done is bought one concert ticket of yours. And I think that what I've realized from artists is that they care so much more about genuine connection and building real fans and being able to increase their ticket history because these are the things that drive real world growth and success of an artist project. That right now, crypto is basically just a way to make more money, and making more money only gets you so far until you actually see that you can reach a new audience and develop new fans and make new connections with those fans, and those crypto connections can increase ticket sales. None of that matters. And so that's why I think we've seen such a big disconnect from artists wanting to like really lean into this world because the risks are just not currently worth the rewards.
Damn. Banger. Banger. We got to but people like you are fixing that. You're exploring and figuring out, hey, how do we make the value side of this make sense and
I
make
think
it and scale it?
fix is an interesting word to use. I think that for me, I ask myself a lot, like, who is this for? Like, who is making these real time markets of music for? Like, who is making artist coins for? Like, am I just like such a crypto bro that I'm just like doing this for no good reason or whatever? And so you got to keep yourself humble and honest because the world does not like crypto. That's what I'll say. Like you go and you talk to artists and people in the crowds and whatnot, and the experiences they've had are not great. And then you look at crypto Twitter and you look at the way that we constantly alienate anyone with the following that comes into the
It's
space. It's not a good vibe. It's really not. I think if you spend years and years understanding this community and you really put in the work, then yeah, you can find a pocket that treats you well. But just from a general perspective, a general point of view, the crypto world is not a world that most people want to be in. And so you really got to keep that in mind when you're thinking about talking to people and building these apps that are putting them into this thing that is generally very toxic in nature still.
but I think you have an advantage here because you actually get out and touch grass and you travel the world and you're in these crowds, you're with these DJs, you're with different industries. But you're saying even with the things that are happening with the administration being very pro crypto, a lot of the announcements that we've seen, even then they're still like, nah, like fuck that. Like even like within the past month.
Yeah. I mean, there's like a really funny XQC video that came out like a month ago, and he was just talking about altcoins and meme coins and shit coins, and he was explaining his view on what they are. And I think it was so representative of how 99% of the world sees and views crypto, where they genuinely just believe that all crypto is a scam because it doesn't have any inherent underlying value. And to their point, it's really not wrong in 99% of cases. If you look at Zora content coins, you look at like the music coins that we have right now and whatnot, there's no like underlying tie back to on-chain cash flows. You're not getting like master royalty rights. It's not like the content on Zora is like producing some, inherent off-chain value. And so you see like founders like totally on Solana, like going head to head with Jesse and being like, all these meme coins are literally valueless. And then Jesse's like, well, how could you say that? Because your entire ecosystem is built on this. And, I think that the through line of saying that content has value and people should be able to buy into that and the creators should be able to get paid is very true in its intention and its ethos. But I don't think it's inaccurate for people to have this viewpoint that all altcoins and all shit coins and all meme coins are a scam because there's not really anything underpinning them. And it's interesting to like internalize that truth and find ways to actually build towards something that feels concrete so people don't feel like they're just buying, some vaporware thing
Hot
every time
air,
they're buying a coin.
literally hot air. Yes.
Yeah.
Um, it's interesting. Yeah, the Tolly stuff was like eye opening to see that. And obviously Jesse. I mean, like we haven't really dove into base that much here, but is it fair to call you a base maxi? Like you love base from what I can
Mm.
tell. Um, what's your take on what base is doing, and how do you see that playing out over the next 12 months?
The bet on base has always been that they'll be able to onboard a lot of real people into their ecosystem just through the channels that they've built up over the last 10 years. And so for me, I think very early days of base, being able to see the creators and the teams that we're building on there, it kind of felt like the continuation of like the Ethereum OG crew, but in a way that felt a lot more geared and primed towards the future of things. I think that with Ethereum, there came a time when I was a little bit it felt a little bit too infrastructure heavy, maybe a little bit too like public goods heavy, or just like narratives that I think weren't really exciting to me from like a mainstream adoption side of things. Like I've always been like an app guy through and through. And I think a big reason why Solana got such a leg up in this last cycle is they just embraced consumer apps like as the main flagship focus, like very, very early on. And so when it came to all of my friends in the real world, they would all have Phantom and they're all just trading meme coins. And that was what they wanted to do. And they realized that and they built great products around it. Phantom has become my go-to wallet. I think it's amazing. I started using a bunch of these like trading bots and whatnot. But I think that what Base has really leaned into that I'm really excited about is this idea that like all content is valuable and the atomic unit for someone posting on the internet can be coined, and that there's a narrative here of like post something and earn money feels very simple to me. And so I think that for me, the leadership team seeing that as their core focus and building that into like a flagship consumer app that then backs into all this other stuff that's happening around it, it just feels really good and natural to me. And so that's kind of my thesis with Base is that it's very simple to get started. You download a mobile app, you post something on there, and then you make some money on the back of it. And I think that that narrative can scale. And I'm willing to bet on all of the teams and founders and apps that are around it because I think we understand that things do need to be really simple to scale. And to just draw like a little bit of a one-to-one here, I love Solana. I trade on Solana every single day. I have so much fun trading there. I think there's so many amazing tokens. The volume on Solana is so much higher than Base right now. That's not even an argument. But I think that the nature of the Solana trenches is extremely PvP. Like it feels like you're going into a casino. You have an hour to buy something and sell it. You got to be ready to rock and roll. I'm here for it. I can do that because I have been around crypto for 5, 7 years at this point. But if you are a normal person getting started with $10 and you're not trying to enter the casino and you just want to try something that feels a little bit more casual, I think that this base community is fostering a lot healthier foundation for people to come on board and have a positive experience without immediately getting rugged their first 60 seconds into the space.
Yeah. Yeah. It's damn. It is slowly moving in the right direction across all fronts. And I think they are leading the charge for a lot of people. You've seen a lot more teams go work with them. Um, it'll be exciting to see how these new changes that they've just announced propagate throughout the ecosystem, especially as more tools get put into more teams' hands. And I
Right.
definitely can see like the Zora content on X has skyrocketed, which is the
Mm,
whole reason for like me. I was like, oh my god, like Coinbase and Jesse and all these other creators are talking about it. I see all these people building on top of it. Um, that flywheel is just going to be, I think, more evident throughout their ecosystem as they keep building.
right. Two things I want to comment on here. One, people might not realize this, but Jacob, the founder of Zora, actually built USDC. Like he led the project at Coinbase internally that built USDC, the stablecoin. And so when you see these kind of like deep connections that go between like Base and Base choosing to have Zora be integrated under the hood in their app, it's not like that was just some like willy-nilly decision that happened. It's like Coinbase is one of the strongest crypto companies that has ever existed. And I think being able to bet on an extension of that through Zora and all of these amazing founders that have spun out of Coinbase initially, like there's a very strong narrative there that I think builds a lot of trust. And I think what I've noticed in crypto is that people want to bet on things that they think will be around in 5, 10 years from now. I think people are a little bit tired of just like throwing money into the thing that launched today and then it's gone within 3 months. I mean, you saw this with Friendtech where it was like the hottest app in the world. And then within 6 months, it's literally at zero. And so I think
True.
that today people want to bet on things that have longevity. And I think that Zora and Base and Coinbase more broadly really exhibit that behavior. So that's what gives me confidence that there will be something here in 10 years that's more valuable. The biggest challenge I think that Base has right now and that I noticed with Solana is that I'm really interested in where do like the younger generation of crypto users come into the play here and where do they want to spend their time. And so even at like the Base event that happened in LA, all of these streamers came to the event, like, Thread Guy and Rasmer and Jakey and a bunch of others. And I just kind of realized vibe wise, there's a difference in like swag, for lack of a better term, of like a lot of these like Solana kids that are kind of more like streamers and like doing things that feel a lot more like internet native right now that I don't think that Base is quite captured yet. And so I just want to kind of call out that I think the biggest thing that Solana has going for it right now is that it has a lot of these really cool young streamers that are doing more internet native things around live streams like this, around clipping, around a lot of these factors that I think are more apparent within mainstream culture. And so I don't quite know what Base's angle is there to try and like capture some of that market or find their own fit, but I just want to vocalize that I'm extremely bullish on like all of these live streamers and clipping products and things that are working on getting distribution beyond crypto because I think that's actually the single most important thing that you can be doing right now.
I love that. I love that. I don't think there's a better way to end our conversation than with that absolute incredible statement. Coop, I love it. This is why I enjoy talking to you. You're one of my favorite people in the space. You also have some incredibly deep thoughts that not a lot of people are able to vocalize very well. And I always learn when I talk to you, so I'm appreciative of that. Um, thank you for hopping on. I
Of
know you
course.
have a very busy day. This is incredible stuff. If you're listening and watching, if you aren't already, make sure you're following Coop at Koopa Troopa on X, or you go to his website at cooprecords.com, I believe. Correct?
.xyz.
.xy. Damn, I was so close. I was on a roll there. I can't thank you enough again. This was incredible. I learned a ton. I'm gonna launch a Zora coin. I'm gonna sign up for Zora. That's what I'll do.
Yeah.
That's what came out of
So
this.
that framing's nice there, There's a
Yeah.
difference.
There's
I'm
a
gonna
big
launch a
difference.
coin versus I'm gonna sign up for
I'm
the
a
app,
sign
you know what
Well,
I
I mean,
mean?
it's the same thing, right?
Yeah. psychologically though, you start to see the difference a little
Yeah,
bit.
no, you're right. You are it's a way different thing psychologically when you're just signing up and that exists, and you're not actually clicking, like, a launch button.
Mm. Well, I appreciate you having me on,
Of
man.
course.
Just to to echo what you said there, I'm pretty active on X at Koopa Troopa, getting a lot more active on TikTok and Instagram as well. On Zora, I'm at Koopa Troopa as well. I'm hovering around the top 10 on there. I'm very proud of that,
Yeah,
but what I'll say is that I've had a lot of fun with it. I think for anyone that's listening to this that might be hesitant, just download the app and try it out. I think if you spend like 30 minutes to an hour just poking around the Zora app, you'll see that this is something that's a lot different from anything that's come before it. And I'm really excited about it. So if you have questions, comments, concerns, DMs are always open and excited to keep the conversation going here.
incredible. Thank you again, man, and thank you everybody for tuning in. We'll catch you on the next one.